This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, baby, there he is, Nick Hicks. Yeah.
Oh,
what's up, dude?
Oh, what is up, brother? How are you?
Well, we got to celebrate Tua's 25th birthday by getting you on.
Happy birthday to the kid, man. 2-5. That's a big year.
Yeah, man. That is awesome.
What were you doing at 25 years old, Big O?
I was starting my radio career.
That's awesome. Starting it. So
yeah,
very
starting
big. So it was your the very first year of inception of the Big O Show? Or where were you working?
Yeah, no, it's the very first year when I think about it now, because no, it's actually a couple of years in. Okay, this is starting my 33rd year.
Damn, man.
So it's 23. So it's 23 when I started, right? I think 20. Yeah, right around 23 when I started.
So you were rocking and rolling then.
Yeah, well, I was working at a Haitian station, actually.
What does that mean?
I was producing Creole, which I couldn't even understand the language.
That's what's up, man. Love that.
Yeah, man, you got to start somewhere, you know.
Man, I remember when I was 25. I was a year in of my opening my first facility, which was called Elevate back in the day. So,
okay.
So yeah, man, it seems like such a long time ago. Yeah, man, I'm happy for him. He's in a great place right now in his life. You know, he looks happy. He's definitely changed. You know, from when I met him back when he was, he was 22 years old. So it's definitely great things happening for the kid.
Do you enjoy being his left tackle out there in social media?
You know what, man? I feel like I do a really good job of protecting his blind side. So that's a great analogy, my man. You know, I do enjoy it because, and I'm like this with every single one of my guys, to be honest with you. You know, if you want to put, your trust in me to prepare you for an NFL offseason, I'm going to go to war for you if anyone talks any kind of shit about you, because I know what the kind of work that you're putting in. I know that the hours that you're putting in. I know how much it means to you and how important it is to you. It just so happens that Tua is the most polarizing person on Twitter in our area, if that in the entire NFL landscape. So I got to go to war for him a little bit harder.
And I don't get it, by the way.
Yeah, me neither. I don't
get it. He's not out there committing crimes. He's not out there insulting people. He's not out there being a terrible teammate. He's not, all the shit that normally brings a polarizing player to your world, whether it's Antonio Brown or different guys that we can talk about that, they are polarizing. For this guy is as perfect as you would want a teammate, a human being, to be. And instead of gravitating and trying to, hope that these are the kind of people you want to succeed. These are the kind of people you want to set an example for your kids. That it's like, look, here's the thing that I've been exposing a lot of these phonies out there. A whole bunch of these guys and women probably that said, oh, he can't play. He's too short, noodle arm. He plays too much golf, all that shit. Now that he proved that he can play, now they all moved over to the injury stuff. You know what I mean? And so it's like they try to find something to justify how they feel about the young man. And it's the weirdest dynamic, Nick. It really is, dude.
And I think it's honestly the troll environment. It's the troll culture. People on social media platforms that have YouTube channels, that do Twitter spaces, that do all this kind of stuff. They know that they're going to get traffic if they say fake news or false things about the kid. And it works. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I was very easy to attack all of that early. I just started using Twitter, honestly, 3 years ago. I was never on Twitter before then. So I just started Twitter 3 years ago, and I really didn't know how to control myself at first, how to not respond to every single thing. I was easily triggered, But you grow to learn that most of these people want that. That's what they're striving. They're striving for your response. They want to see you get upset. They want to see what you can say to their blasphemous remark. And I've gotten better at it. I've gotten better at it for sure, because I guess I've grown up. I've matured in my Twitter life. So, but it is what it is, man. It's going to keep coming. The kid's going to win a Super Bowl, and there's still going to be haters out there just because that's their MO. And if they abandon it, they will then be exposed as frauds, and that's not what they want.
By the way, does he have any idea who the hell I am?
He does. He does. He knows. He's not on social media.
I know he's not on social media, but being around you and you know me, and I'm like the only freaking media guy that, like, I'm his left tackle.
Yeah.
In the media. I don't know. Does he even know who the hell I am? Does he know that I actually like defend his ass?
I try to keep all of the social media stuff away from our conversations and our training sessions just because it doesn't really bring any value to what I'm trying to accomplish.
Right.
But he does know that there are a select people on this in this space that have his back, and you're one of them.
Yeah. All right. Good. I'm glad he knows.
Yeah.
I got to get him on, bro.
Yeah. Good luck with that, man. He stays away from all this kind of stuff.
I know. But he'd have a safe zone here at least.
Yeah, 100% he would, and he knows.
You know,
I just think he's focused on training, and then when it's not training, he's focused on playing. And then when he has a break, he's focused on his family. You know, he's just as kind of who he is. You know, and I respect that. I commend that. I think it's very admirable because a lot of people would want to jump on platforms and kind of, you know, clear their name for themselves.
Me.
You know, but he doesn't care about that kind of stuff, man. And it's very admirable.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, let me commend you on something because, and maybe I'm wrong here in a way, but you tell me. So he comes off the hip injury, and then that first year, you're kind of really recovering and trying to get yourself back on track.
Yeah.
But in that second off season, which was last off season, you did a phenomenal job of working that core and then that flexibility for him, and you know all those drills that you had him picking up the ball off the floor and throwing it from one side to the other, and all that stuff. Was that the plan? Because coming off the hip, you now have to kind of strengthen that core overall, because obviously that's the lifeblood of a quarterback as it is. Of course.
So I'll give you the rundown of that. So when Tua's agent first approached me to train him in the offseason, he was coming off of his rookie year, right? And during his rookie year, he was a shell of himself. He was not physically up to you know, the standard that we all had seen him play at Alabama. So you kind of rewind the clock and figure out why, right? So he had his injury, and then from his injury, he went and had surgery. And then from surgery, he had to rehab and prepare for a pro day, right? So then he prepared for his pro day. The draft comes, you get drafted. Then you immediately go to your you know, said team that drafted you. You go through rookie minicamp, you go through minicamp, you go through camp, you go through preseason, you go through the season. And there's just not time to build your body up. It's go time. Look, you've got to play football, you know? And I think personally, I think maybe he shouldn't have played at all his rookie year. I think he was just kind of thrown into the fire, right? You know, so, you know.
That's what I said the whole year. Let him freaking get healthy.
Exactly.
He does not need to play. But then again, the guy that was a head coach didn't really give a shit about
him. I don't have much to say about him.
You don't have to say it. I'll say it. Don't worry.
Exactly. So after year one, I had never met Tua his rookie year. At the end of his rookie year is when I had met him and we started training, right? So, you know, for me, what I like to do when I start with a new client is kind of, you know, put together a needs assessment, figuring out what they need to accomplish this offseason, right? It's not just training. You know, people need to understand that, you know, when I get my hands on a guy or a guy comes to me for the first time, we sit down and we figure out where his weaknesses are. You know, we do baseline testing to kind of see where he is so I can put together a program that's going to attack the weaknesses so that we're getting desired results. So for him, he was just very weak in his lower half. He had a lot of imbalances from the right and the left side, zero stability in lower extremities. Just really didn't have much really to build off of. So we had to build. So the entire first offseason with him was rebuilding the car, right? You know, kind of building the body back up. We had to do a lot of strength training, a lot of resistance training. There wasn't really stuff that we could do throwing the ball wise, because if you skip those steps, right, and we don't really worry about bulletproofing the body, then you're gonna find some other issues down the road, right?
And the throws won't be nearly as good.
Exactly. So, it was all about, foundational building and getting him stronger and getting him back to, the athlete that he could be. I believe that that was when he had that year, he had the fractured ribs and he had the broken finger, and he was going through a lot of stuff, with trade rumors and all that kind of whatever. I mean, he dealt with it. And
he still beat the Ravens.
He dealt with it like a champ, man. And the Ravens game, he didn't have one first team rep that all week. As you can remember, he didn't have the eye black on his face because he was told he was not playing, and he just got thrown in the fire. And guess what? He came out alive, and he led us to a win. So after year one, really with me, it was the second year in the NFL. The Dolphins staff did a great job at keeping his body pretty strong. Shout out to Dave Palooka and the guys, man. They really did a great job of helping him maintain his strength throughout that season. So when our second off season started, we were ready to go. We still had to kind of, knock the rust off and get back in the weight room and build another foundation, but it wasn't nearly as drastic or it wasn't the plan that we had to attack the year before. So we got into a throwing program, and a lot of people come at me because I'm not a quarterback coach, and I get that. I'm not a quarterback coach, but there's a lot of resources out there to learn proper throwing mechanics and how to increase, velocity and how to work on off-platform throwing and all that good stuff. And Tua wanted me to do it. It was Tua's choice. It wasn't like I forced him. Tua wanted me to do it. And so we put together a program, and I was very, very happy with the program. Tua increased in all categories. Throwing the ball, whether it was throwing the deep ball, whether it was throwing intermediate throws and being accurate over the middle, which was something that, we had to work on. It just sucks that I never in a million years thought that we would have to strengthen his neck and have to do neck strengthening exercises and falling mechanics, and the only thing that kind of, knocked Tua off the tracks last year was that, because he was leading every, legitimate statistical quarterback category. And it was just something that, I feel like nobody thought would happen. But he was playing at the highest level of any quarterback in the NFL last year for a long period of time, until that happened. So this offseason, obviously, was a little bit different. We still are it's almost like a little collective of years 1, 2, and 3, off seasons 1, 2, and 3. And I'm excited to get it going, man. I know we started a couple weeks ago now, and I'm gone for this week, and he's back home doing his thing right now. So, after Indy, after I get back, we really start to crush phase 1, and I'm excited about it, man.
And listen, after that past off season, he comes back and he's the number 1 rated passer. He has one of the best completion percentages in deep balls in the NFL. I don't know if he was 1, 2, or 3, but he was right up there. I don't know what it was, but it's ridiculous.
His air yards per completion were number 1. People said he couldn't do it.
Right.
And I know everyone says, "Oh, he's a yak merchant." A stat came out yesterday that he was bottom barrel in yak. It's like, guys,
narratives, bro. Yeah. These are all these bullshit narratives that people create, and there's no facts behind them. And it's like, what are you watching? You know what I mean? It's just like,
they're watching, certain media guys that have an agenda, not really an agenda, but they have a shtick that they got to stand by, that they've been spewing out for multiple years now. And if they go back, it's kind of a bad look on their credibility. So it's almost like they're at the end of the plank, right? And they can't turn around.
By the way, we're all wrong. So
100%.
Doesn't really hurt. What hurts your credibility is when you're not willing to admit you're wrong.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Since we're human beings, we're going to get shit right and we're going to get it wrong. Yep. But we have to acknowledge when we're wrong too. And then that's where your credibility stands, is when you admit when you're wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
I agree.
So, all right. So you were able to work on the core. And now we talk about, I took judo for 3 years. So when I heard and it's Jiu-Jitsu, but it's kind of the same thing anyways, because it's really not about fighting or anything like that. It's really about protecting your body. Yeah. And I remember that in judo, that was kind of the trick, that you want to learn how to fall because one, you could get up a lot faster, and two, obviously you're gonna suffer less pain and anything like that if you learn how to fall and roll and those kind of things.
So jiu-jitsu is derived from judo.
Right.
Judo is, I believe, an Asian practice, and some Brazilian guys came and practiced judo in Asia and figured out that they could kind of change the way judo is and apply ground techniques, right? But there are judo beliefs and practices inside of jiu-jitsu. So with that being said, right, the goal of if you and I were in a judo match or a jiu-jitsu match, right, my goal is to end the match, beat you, right? And I could do that by multiple ways. That's slamming you, picking you up and slamming you and knocking you unconscious. And if you don't learn how to land properly and you're getting slammed and knocked unconscious, you're not going to be a good judo practitioner, correct? Yeah. So the very first thing that they teach you in this realm of sport is how to land. It's called break falling. So it's not something that's uber, confusing or hard to learn. It's very pretty. It's actually pretty simple. But it's just something that once you learn, your body now is first nature to it.
Yes. I can tell you that because years after judo, a couple times that I've fallen, I know how to roll. Yeah. And so it's just one of those things that I know how to break my fall. Yep. And that has saved my ass from actually getting injured. Where maybe I got a little banged up or something, but I got right back up again with no problem, but I did not get injured.
Yeah, Conor McGregor was recently hit by a car while riding his bike. Right. And from his, story of what happened, he got hit, he got ejected off the bike, and he literally landed into a roll, like a front somersault, and popped straight up, had no issues. If he didn't, he claims that if he didn't have martial arts and judo and jiu-jitsu, background and experience, he probably would have broken his neck and died.
Right. He would have gone face first and awkwardly roll and just
exactly.
Exactly. I know. Yeah.
So yeah, man, he's been doing that and he's loving it. And again, I want people to know and understand that without me really getting too much into depth about what we're doing, because at the end of the day, we want to kind of keep it in house. But it's a comprehensive plan built for him, for him. We our coaches, our jiu-jitsu coaches have seen tape and they've seen some issues that Tua has a problem with while he's getting hit. And it's all just, a subconscious movement. It's something that it's kind of what he does naturally. And we're trying to change that. So there are some football techniques in there. There's a lot of different, I guess you could say the program is tailored to a football player, not to becoming a jiu-jitsu black belt.
Right.
Yeah. So, and he's loving it. He's enjoying it. The team's great. It's so funny because they didn't even know who he was, which I thought was amazing. They're just, their life is jiu-jitsu. They don't really know much about football.
Right.
And when I have to explain to him the issues, man, he's like, okay, cool. I get it now. So when the receiver goes into the touchdown zone and they try to tackle him, and he thought like the touchdown zone was like the middle of the field. And I was like, yeah, that's just the field. And he goes, okay. So, and then, he calls him the ball catcher, not the receiver. He calls him the ball catcher. It's just funny because, they just really don't have any idea about football, but we don't have any idea about jiu-jitsu. We have no clue. I mean, I'm doing the stuff with Tua and, we're falling down and popping up, and we're doing certain rolls and whatnot. And it's exhausting. It's a completely different type of physical exertion that we're used to. These guys are doing it, and then we go take the football and we watch them throw a football and they have no idea what they're doing. They're grabbing the back of the football as opposed to the front of the football. They're throwing it and it's moving their hand. It's just like both worlds are colliding and it's actually really cool to see.
Well, sometimes I try to tell people in sports this because sometimes they think that the entire world thinks like they do. And I don't think people realize that we're the minority. Yep. Most people aren't sports fans, actually. Yep. Most people aren't watching football, no matter what. I know it's the number one sport in the country. I get that, but most people aren't really watching sports. They're watching normal life and crap go on, and it's just like one of those things. So running into people that don't follow sports, that's very common. Yeah. It's just we think that we're in this echo chamber that because we live and eat, breathe sports. We think everybody else does, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. Now I gave you a stat at the airport that you kind of you were like,
awesome.
and so I don't know how much he's aware of it. I'm sure they've talked to him about getting rid of the football, and to me, that's kind of been his. Yeah. To me, it's more about terrible luck for him, but also it's holding on to it a little too long because he has that freaking Warriors mentality that he wants to make the play, and sometimes he's just got to live for the next play. You know what I mean? And I know you know what, by the way, if I could get him one day and talk to him, I know he admires Marino. I wish he would watch the tape. Marino used to throw it away like it was going out of style, dude. Yeah. All the time because he wasn't going to get hit. Yeah. He would live for the next play. When you're a great passer, and yes, I'm saying Tua is a great passer for those of you out there that are hating. Yeah. But when you're a great passer, you can live for the next play. You can. Agreed. You don't have to. And I told you that his ankle injuries, his hip, and the 2 concussions from this year all happened between 3.81 and 5.1 seconds. And, you know, long time. Yeah, bro, it's just a long time. And that's where you're allowing these big fat guys to build up some steam and railroad you, bro. Yeah. You know, look, we saw when Joe Burrow didn't have a line that first year and he was getting pummeled and he ended up blowing out his knee. Yep. I don't care who you are, bro. The body's not built for this pounding. And that's the one thing that I want him to be just a little bit more aware of. Like, live for the next play, my brother. You're that good that don't worry about it. We saw you on 4th and 7. Yep. You did it against the Patriots. We saw you, dude. We saw you in the Ravens game down by 21. You can do it, but you don't have to do it all on one play.
And I'm sure he knows that. Listen, I don't really know what conversations he has with his coaches or with, his agency and whatnot. But I do know that is something that he is aware of. But it's so much easier said than done, right? When you've been doing it your whole life and you've been extending plays, you've been spinning around a defensive tackle and flashing your eyes down the field and finding Jerry Jeudy in the back of the end zone, at Bama and doing stuff like that. It's tough, but he's committed to growing. He's committed to changing. He's committed to becoming, an elite quarterback that can play for a long time, and I'm seeing him every single day strive to make those changes. So I'm sure that that's just another thing that he's focused on.
Is he going to wear? Remember, you're not old enough, but Steve Grogan, back in the day, he had the neck roll.
Oh my God! No, the neck roll is ridiculous. Yeah. So I love it. No, he's not doing that. We're doing a lot of great things.
I'm just wondering. I just had to ask because Steve Grogan did it, so I'm wondering: is he going to go the Steve Grogan route? And so, if you ever get a chance,
Steve Grogan, who do you play for?
Patriots. Yeah, 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah, I was gone. I was born in 88, Big O.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, man, I'm a young cat still. No, I know. Old to some. Yeah, I'm 34, but my knees feel like they're 50.
Right. See, you're just a year older than me and my business.
That's it. And that's it. Hey, listen, you're a legend. You've been doing this for a long time, and I appreciate you inviting me on the show too. That's honestly, it's a privilege, man. Thank you.
No, it's an honor for me, and I appreciate you taking some time. Of course. So outside of protecting himself. Yep. Like last year, you worked on the core. What are the football things you're working on with Tua this offseason?
There's a couple things that we're adding to the plan, and one of them is escapability and learning to get out of harm's way. Not really having to extend a play, but just getting out of harm's way so that you can throw the ball away. Another thing that I reminded him of was that he was the number 1 dual threat quarterback in the country coming out of high school. And I want him to put the threat back into dual threat. You know what I mean? So what does that mean? That doesn't mean that you need to be like Justin Fields and break an 80-yard touchdown run. That doesn't mean
Josh Allen. You
don't need to be Jalen Hurts. You don't need to be Josh Allen. But if it's 3rd and 6 and you break the pocket, let's go get those 6 yards.
Right.
Or at least
if there's wide open field, they guys are spread out and it's right there for you. Take a nice slide.
Let's go get it. you know,
Yeah.
and or if it's 3rd and 8 and you break outside the pocket, right, and you attempt to run to the sideline or towards the line of scrimmage, and you can bring a linebacker and just dump it over the top, you become a threat, right? You become a threat. And that's kind of what we're focused on, man. A lot of curvy linear speed, running off of different angles on the insteps and the outsteps of the feet, which is really introductory for it, which is what we've been doing. You know, which is not easy. It's not easy to do. It's a very, very awkward thing to have to run on an arc or have to you know, spin out. I mean, we worked on that escapability a little bit last year. You saw in the Ravens game.
The Ravens.
So I mean, we literally rep that identical in training. So hopefully the other drills that we're implementing will be just like that. Will be, you know, copy and paste into the game. But that's really it, man. Just be adding the threat back into dual threat for him.
Nick Hicks joining us, by the way. You can follow him on Twitter at Per4orm, and remember the F is a 4.
Yes.
And Per4orm. So make sure you follow him there. What do you say to the people like myself or anybody else out there? Enlighten us, because you're the pro, we're not. Oh, well, you can't get any faster. You are who you are at this point in your career. There's no way your reflexes are going to get faster. No way he's going to be more quicker.
Yeah.
Educate us on that.
So, you know, there's a lot of trainers out there. There's a lot of trainers out there, and there's a lot of really bad ones, and there's a lot of really good ones, right? For me, it's all about finding the person that understands how to build a needs assessment for you. For example, Devin Singletary. He was in the league for 2 years, really wasn't climbing up and doing things that was expected of him from the organization. So in the offseason, he reached out to me because I had been working with Dalvin and JK. And he's like, man, I got to change something up this offseason. I need to do something. So I told him, I said, I'd love to meet you. Let's chop it up. So I did some research on motor. And watching his tape, he can shake everybody. He can break down every single defender. But in the NFL, as a ball carrier, you need to be moving laterally while also moving linearly, right? You need to get going forward. You know, it's all about gaining yards, not really how can you, you know, shake a guy and break a guy and, you know, break his ankles. You don't need to break down all 11 guys, right? So with him, it was more so not polishing the tool bag, right, of his, you know, I guess you could say juke or running back movement repertoire, but it was also him understanding that while we're moving laterally, we got to move linear. And a lot of the drills that I do are very uncomfortable at first because you're not good at them. You know, we're expecting a lot out of you. The entire offseason, I have a video I think I put on my Instagram of his day one reps to at the end of his first offseason. You can find it on my Instagram. It's pretty remarkable. It's pretty crazy how much better he got. So we're talking about a running back that's in the NFL, that was a draft pick, that's been very, very good for a long time, and he elevated his game over one offseason, right? Same thinking you can say with these pre-draft guys that I'm training right now. You know, I saw somebody, I think it was maybe even Braden Fajoko. He's a defensive lineman for the Chargers. Him and I were kind of talking back and forth on Twitter yesterday, and he said the same thing. Is like these trainers, you know, there's not any trainer in the world that can get you to where you want to go. Yes, there is. It's baseline though, right? Now, can I take any guy off the street and make him run a 4.3 here in Indianapolis? Probably not. No, that's not what we're talking about. But are there
then you'd become a miracle worker,
exactly.
Not a trainer.
Exactly. Okay. I'd be a magician.
Yes.
I'd be a magician. You know, but are there guys that come to me that run, you know, 4.6 and then go run 4.38 in Indy? Absolutely. It happens. You know, and there's a lot of factors that have to do with it. How healthy are they? Right? It's not just training. It's how healthy are they? Are they banged up? You know, do they need to get healthier? You know, are they strong? You know, have they atrophied throughout the entire season? Have they lost a lot of muscle mass? Do they need to get stronger and more explosive? You know, are they hitting angles properly? Are they attacking angles properly? Do they have a good stance and start? I mean, there's so many factors that go into this, and that's my job to pinpoint which factor are they, you know, less efficient at, and let's make them more efficient. So, you know, again, there's a lot of trainers out there that, for example, will get a high-end client and they'll just throw everything at them. I like to say throw the kitchen sink at them because they just want to show how much they know. But it's not really about that. It's how much can we grow? How much better can we get? You know, you got a guy like Dalvin Cook who's an all-pro running back. You know, his goal every single offseason is to get 1% better. not 10% better, it's just 1% better. And it's at certain things, whether it's a little bit of speed, whether it's, sprint endurance, whether it is, attacking a different sweep cut or some kind of other movement, whether it's holding onto the ball, you know what I mean? Really focusing on ball security. Maybe it's catching the ball over the shoulder. He had a couple drops, maybe he had a couple drops on his wheel route. So it's literally just looking at those things and then creating a plan for them and then executing the plan.
When you talk about Dalvin, he's had his share of injuries too in the past.
Yeah.
And then lately he's been healthier now.
Yep.
Okay, so when we talk about injury history, how much of it is the training? How much of it is just freaking bad luck?
A lot of it's bad luck. A lot of it is playing surfaces. A lot of it is dirty plays.
So what you're saying, it doesn't help to play in New Orleans.
It doesn't help to play in New Orleans. Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got some pretty bad turf. Everyone that I've ever talked to says that their turf is like playing on cement.
You mean Mike Brown didn't spend enough money to? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Right,
yeah. It's funny though because people come at me, right? And Dalvin Cook is out for a week with an ankle injury. Like, oh, we trained to perform. First of all, an ankle injury isn't my fault. And if you do the research, he was actually under the pile and somebody grabbed and twisted his ankle. It was a dirty play, So it's just something that it comes with the territory. When I first got on Twitter and people were talking about, I guess when I was starting to get a little bit of steam going, I guess you could say, and I was doing podcasts, and obviously a guy went on and looked at the entire injury list of all my guys, and every single injury that he had brought up, there wasn't any soft tissue injuries. There wasn't any, torn ligaments. It was contusions, broken ribs, fractured finger,
collisions.
It's football. You know what I mean? Like, we can't do anything about that. Right. If a quarterback throws a ball, let's just say it's throws a ball and he hits his hand on the helmet of a defensive lineman and he has to miss 2 weeks, that's bad luck.
Right.
That's just bad luck. Now, if a receiver that I train, week one is he's running 18-yard dagger and has a non-contact ACL injury, maybe let's look into what he had going on this offseason, But if he runs across the middle, right, and he catches the football and somebody shoots their helmet through his kneecap and it's an AC, that's different.
Right.
Just the risk that they take. Now, I'm not saying that my training is bulletproof and that, it's foolproof where every single player of mine, will not get injured. That's not it. The training that we apply lessens the chances. It makes the risk of injury a whole lot smaller.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
And by the way, Tua didn't have injuries last year. It was the one thing. It was the head trauma stuff that happened, and a lot of Milano. That was a dirty play on Milano.
Yeah,
by him. He didn't have to push him after that. He had to get rid of the ball. Already. Now Milano is a ruthless player. I mean,
he is, man.
He's the guy you want on your team. Man, he's the guy you hate when he's on somebody else's team.
So he is the Draymond Green.
Yes.
Of the NFL. Like, I can't stand Draymond, but if Draymond played for the Miami Heat, oh man, I'd have a Draymond jersey. I would be all Draymond.
A younger Draymond, not this one right now.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I'm saying.
I know.
Milano is so damn good. He's so explosive. He's so fast. And he just, if he was a Miami Dolphin.
And he's a quarterback killer, by the way. It's not only Tua, he's injured other quarterbacks.
He is, man. And, dirty, maybe, reckless, absolutely. He just plays like it's his last down, and all the great linebackers that I've ever watched play like that,
Yeah.
Luke Kuechly, look at Luke Kuechly. I mean, he played like that, and he had a lot of injuries himself.
Yeah.
Because they literally would just run through a brick wall.
By the way, did you laugh when people were thinking, oh, Tua retire? He's got to leave and it's like, wait a minute. Jordan Reed, I think it's Jordan, right? The Florida tight end that had like 9 concussions. Yeah. Was it Jordan? I don't think it's Jordan. I think I got it wrong. It's Reed. But, it's like so many people don't realize that, like, Tua wasn't the only guy that had a couple concussions this year. There were a whole bunch. Kenny Pickett had a couple concussions. It's, Sidney Crosby, I thought the that concussion expert guy, Lewinsky or whatever, that guy's good. Yeah. And you know how he explained that Sidney Crosby's had like 7, 8, or 9 in his career, and he's working on a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
The key is giving them time to recover, and that's where I thought the Dolphins were exceptional at the end of the year.
Agreed.
They didn't even let him start the protocol till after the season was over because you know that report came out from Schefter. Well, if they advance, there's a chance Tua could play. There was never a chance Tua was going to play. They were going to allow him to heal finally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, they love him, man. They love him. The organization loves him. He loves them. He loves being in Miami. You know, I don't think that there's a scenario that he could ever find better for himself. And he knows who has his back. You know what I mean? And the people that have his back are the only ones that really matter anyways.
Right.
So, but yeah, man, you nailed it on the head. You know, they're taking care of him, you know, because they love him deeper than the quarterback position. You know, they love him as a person. They love him as a kid. You know, they just, the entire organization loves him, man. So, you know, which is,
hey, we haven't had one here since Marino.
Yeah. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, man.
We need to make this work because I don't know how they're going to get another one. And I know this kid is a left-handed Montana.
Yeah.
I know he's a left-handed Montana. We just got to keep him healthy, and he's got to do his part too to stay healthy and not hang on to the ball too long. Yep. And sky's the limit, dude.
Yeah. Yep. He knows that. He knows that.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Nick, thank you, my brother.
No, I appreciate you, Big O.
You know, big
Any
time.
other time, brother. Okay.
I think we talked. I said about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's 40. So
no, we're good, man. You're good.
Yeah, but I
do have to get some other stuff out here. I'm in Indianapolis, and I've got meetings with coaches and scouts, and I have to go work with our guys, and it's definitely a hectic time of the year. But you know, when I saw you in the airport, you know, I 100% wanted to talk to you, and I've been a big fan of you, and I have appreciated your support. You know, these last couple of years that. You know, support not only of Tua, but also of me. You know, you've had my back as well on here. So I do appreciate that, my brother.
Hey, I got your back, bro. I'm here for it, man. I appreciate you, Nick.
Thank you.
I'll catch you later on. I'm sure.
All right, Big O. Take care, man. Yep.
Be good, baby. There you go. Nick Hicks. Follow him on Twitter at Per4orm. And instead of an F, it's a 4. There you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. I thought it was pretty informative. Yeah.